Homesteaders, Gardeners, and Cooks. My name is Jennifer. Welcome to Miles Away Farm, or welcome back. Today we are making goe ga, and I'm probably not saying that with the right intonation, but goe ga is a Vietnamese chicken salad, and it has a sweet lime dressing on it, and it's super delicious and really healthy. It's just packed with tons of vegetables. My main motivation for this is to use cabbage. I don't know about you guys, I find cabbage to be pretty easy to grow in my climate, especially if I get the timing right. But most Americans' total exposure for what to do with cabbage is to make coleslaw that's similar to the kind of coleslaw that you get at Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I hate that kind of coleslaw, and that's not my favorite thing. And so I am always looking for interesting recipes that use up lots of cabbage. I love it sliced and used in various incarnations of chicken salad with Asian type dressings, and I've done a million variations of that over the years. And this one is just one of many. Vietnamese food typically, and this is true of Thai as well, they will typically have a combination of kind of the classic sweet, salty, bitter, maybe a little bit of heat. That's typical of Asian flavors, particularly in Thai and Vietnamese food. And so that's what we're going to have in this salad today. It's going to have a lot of fish sauce. And fish sauce is not super crazy fishy. It's not like anchovies, and it's just a really great flavoring for this type of thing. We're going to add some sugar to that. The original recipe called for a slivered like jalapeno or other hot chili. It's really early in the season here for me for peppers, and so I ended up just adding a dollop of a chili garlic sauce that I make. And it also called for fresh garlic, and we also don't have any fresh garlic this time of year, and so I just used that chili garlic sauce in substitute for those two things. And then lots of lime juice for that sour flavor. So it's really simple and super flavorful, and then lots and lots of fresh herbs. When I first started gardening, I planted lots of herbs because that's what you're supposed to do when you are growing a garden, is you grow lots of herbs. And then I realized I don't really know what to do with all of these herbs, and so it's really taken me years and years and years of different recipes to learn how to incorporate fresh herbs into what I'm cooking. And this is a great example of that, where the herbs are treated more like a green and less like a slight little flavor pop. And so in this we have fresh basil, fresh spearmint, and some fresh cilantro. Cilantro is tricky because it's very much a cool season crop, and so I ended up just using what was left of some cilantro that I had grown in pots for sale early in the season that had not sold, and so they were just still in my greenhouse, and so this was kind of the tail end of those. Most of the cilantro that I have out in the garden at this point has gone to flower and is now starting to go to seed, which is always the tricky bit with cilantro, is it's very hard to get it in the summer when you want it for salsas and dishes like this. And as for the cabbage, this was a cabbage that I harvested out of my raised bed garden, and it ended up being over 4 pounds, so it was an absolutely huge cabbage. There was a second cabbage that was next to it, which is this one, and as you can see, this cabbage has split, and I didn't pick it because it wasn't that big yet, and the other one was so huge. And as always, I'm second guessing when I should harvest something, and I thought, oh, I'll just leave it a little bit longer, maybe it'll get a little bit bigger, and then it split. And so this is what happens when you leave cabbage in the ground for too long, and it absorbs too much moisture, and it starts to, deep in the center, form a flower stalk that it wants to send up to go to seed, and it will split the actual cabbage. These will hold like this even though they're split for a little while in the fridge, so they don't go bad super quickly, and you end up just trimming off this part where it's split because that starts to get a little discolored. But generally these will hold for a while, and I'll probably end up making some other kind of slaw with this. But I wanted to show you this because this is a really common thing for cabbage. If you've never grown cabbage before and you wait too long to harvest it, this is what happened, is it just got too big and was ready to be harvested, and you waited a bit too long. So goe ga, Vietnamese chicken salad. Let's get started.
So to start out with, I brined a whole chicken. This is a quart of water and a quarter cup of salt. And then I cooked it in my Instant Pot for about 25 minutes. And I ended up with the chicken, the bones and skin, and then some lovely chicken stock that I'll use for another use. And here we have sliced onions, sliced cabbage. I have both red and green cabbage here, and then sliced carrots. Here's all my beautiful herbs from the garden. And then whenever I'm slicing herbs, I like to roll them up into kind of a cigar shape. It makes it much easier to get the herbs to slice up easily. And you want things to be a little bit chunky here because they are meant to be more used like a green. And there's all our gorgeous greens. And then to this sliced slivered red onion, I'm going to add 3.5 tablespoons of fish sauce. Just use whatever kind you can find at your grocery store. Red Boat and Three Crabs are both good brands if you have options. And then 1.5 teaspoons of sugar, or to taste. I ended up adding a little bit more. There's my red chili paste, and I have a recipe for that in one of my other videos if you're interested. And then I'm adding about 1/3 cup of fresh lime juice. And I'm just going to stir that together and let it sit. And so basically kind of doing a quick pickle with these onions. It's going to take a lot of that raw heat bite out of them. And then we're going to assemble everything. So I do have some red cabbage in here as well, partly because it's visually just stunning and also just because I had it left over from a different project. And so I thought I would use that up. And then our carrots going in. And these are carrots from my last year's garden that are still in my fridge. So carrots last an incredibly long time. I mean, how gorgeous is that? Come on. In go all of the herbs, and then I decided to switch to some tongs because the herbs were wet and they were going to stick everywhere on my hands. And there's no oil in this dressing. And so this is a fairly light salad in terms of calories. It's just a great venue for lots of great veggies. And then I'm adding on our dressing / marinated onions. And I'm going to give everything another good toss because I really want to treat this like a slaw. I want everything to be well coated with that beautiful dressing. And for the chicken here, I used obviously a homegrown chicken that I had in my freezer, but a rotisserie chicken would work beautifully here. This is not something that you need to overthink. And this makes about 4 good dinner-sized portions. So we had 3 people eating tonight, and then I had 1 meal left over. I added some cucumbers. It didn't call for this, but I happened to have some marinated cucumbers in my fridge, and so I went ahead and threw them in. And then I'm adding crushed peanuts. The recipe called for way more peanuts than I actually needed. I'm not quite sure why they went so heavy on the peanuts. But topping that with our chicken, and we are ready to go. So that's all there is to it. Recipe is delicious, guys. Give it a try. Thanks for watching, Tribe. If you like this kind of content, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment, and share. I have new content coming out every week.